Peace, love, knowledge, and freedom, and welcome to another exciting episode of the Just Seen podcast. And today we're continuing right along with the series of the mind. Today we will be going over wisdom, as you've seen from the title. Wisdom is I'm gonna say it's my favorite, but I feel like next week I'm gonna say understanding is my favorite, but they're like top two in the levels of the mind. Because that's when the real transformation within itself happens between those two levels and shit. But I think I like wisdom the most because wisdom is where creativity is mainly housed and developed. You feel what I'm saying? But more so, it is where it's that point of the mind that's just like, bitch, ain't no limits no more. Like limitations are placed upon us, and limitations are largely tied to our mentalities based off of the conceptualizations of belief and knowledge. Belief and knowledge are limiting factors. You feel me? So when people say, your mind is the limit or whatever the case may be, you have to know now. It's it's one thing that I learned about being able to attack something in life is that you have to be able to identify it and you have to be able to make it real. So when we look at, what are the limitations of the mind? They're literally the first two levels of the mind, belief, and knowledge. When you can get through the when you can get through the final level of the wall of I'm stuttering, my bad, y'all. When you can get through the point of the mind of knowledge that hinders you from wisdom, that keeps you from gaining wisdom, that is where you you stay within a limited scope. So the first half of the four levels of the mind, you have belief and knowledge. Those are limiting factors of the mind. That is when your mind is limited. When you have the wisdom and understanding levels, that is when your mind is unlimited. So no funny shit, not because I'm here, not because I reach these points within the levels of the mind and I know how to access those, but it's like people you when people are stuck between the levels of belief and knowledge, they don't have an open mind as they claim to have. They have the potential to have an open mind, but they don't have that open mind. You know what I'm saying? Because it's still in that limited space. But now what we're going to walk into now with wisdom is the unlimited space within the mind. And that is when you're coming into actual experience, right? So just as between belief and knowledge, you have the wall of cognitive dissonance. You have you have between knowledge and wisdom, the wall of deliberate action. And of course, we're gonna go through all of that, but I'm just setting the scene because, like I said, this is one of my favorite. This is one of my favorite levels of the mind. I think it might be my favorite level of the mind because this is the level of the mind when you have to show up. Nobody else can show up for you. This is where you have to show up. This is where you face, the face your fears and they disappear. This is when you get to that space when you can actually step into the realm of conquering fear and fear being completely obliterated. And in obliterating fear, here's where a quandary comes in because when we obliterate fear, we by proxy obliterate faith. This is why I tell people I don't believe in anything anymore because I transitioned the point of the mind to where I don't need faith or fear anymore because nothing has to initiate me to get me started. Whenever I approach things now, I can literally skip the first two stages of the mind because I have now been exposed to the final four. The final two phases of the mind, moved into the unlimited space. Now, this isn't to say that things are still completely, I don't believe it all. Like, what I'm saying? Nah, it's just quick on how much I believe in it because I can go straight through the wallet. Like, you'll see what I'm talking about as we go through. But there's levels to this dynamic of what we call wisdom that a lot of people don't understand. And something that I learned is that wisdom is tied to experience. And I think we really need to understand what experience really, really means and really is. And a lot of people don't go into the depths of understanding it. So they mistake experience for tenure. They think, oh, because I've been in a space for a long time that I have experience with it. I've had people tell me all the time, like, I've been on this earth longer than you, and I still had more experience than you. I've experienced more than people my age way before I was ever my age. I experienced more than people older than me. You feel me? Before I even got to their age. And people are like, well, they try to put the hierarchy in there with tenure. Like, I've been on this earth longer. Like, I had niggas who would consider themselves, big homies to me who are no longer who were just little niggas who was older than me and I didn't know it. just because they were older and they had more tenure than me on this earth. They didn't have more experience because we grew up in the same areas. They repeated the same cycles, and all of that shit ties into it. They lacked wisdom. True wisdom is is a derivative of how well you can punch through the wall of deliberate action, how well you can apply the knowledge that you obtain. You feel what I'm saying? And not many people do that because it requires a level of self-awareness, and it requires a level of liberation of the self and knowledge of the self and trust within the self to know how to experience and tap into that level. But before we dive heavy into that, be sure to follow me on Instagram. My bad, I'm chuckling because it's like I'm flowing so well because I love this part of the mind. Like this is the part I sit in the most. You know what I'm saying? Between this and understanding. But anyway, before I dive heavy into that, be sure to follow me on Instagram at _scene _. Be sure to check out my website at IamJustSeen.com to get all things that are just seen. To all those who tip, donate, and sponsor the podcast, you are greatly appreciated. To all those who would like to tip, donate, and sponsor the podcast, you can do so by clicking the link in the description of this podcast. Not the episode, but the podcast itself. And as always, Cash App and PayPal are just fine. So you know the vibes. That's this for that, and that's that for this. Or that's that for this, and that's this for that. So which one is it? Either way, it's the same shit. That's that for this, and that's this for that. So we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we are going to dive into wisdom, the third level of the mind. And don't forget to visit IamJustSeen.com. There, you can get all things Just Seen. You want to add the Soul For Real series to your library? Visit IamJustSeen.com. You want to learn how to master the markets for serious trading and investing? Visit IamJustSeen.com. You want to get your hands on some exclusive merch like tees, hoodies, coffee mugs, hats, bags? Visit IamJustSeen.com. Are you thinking about transitioning into the plant-based lifestyle? Visit IamJustSeen.com. You ever want to just chat with Seen about anything from simple advice to mentorship? Visit IamJustSeen.com. Anything and everything that is me, you can find at IamJustSeen.com. So take a quick peek into my world to see why being just seen is nothing less but always more. Because you never really know what you need until you see it, and you will never see it unless you visit IamJustSeen.com. All right. Welcome back. God. And without further ado, we about to get this shit twerkulating up in this motherfucker. But I love this level of the mind because this is one of those levels that separates me from everybody else. And this is the level of the mind that separates anybody from anybody if people just tap into it. I know a lot of people who ask me things like, yo, how do you know what you know? And how are you able to break down the shit that you break down? And how are you able to do this? And like they think emulating me will give them the knowledge, or emulating me will give them the capacity and the wisdom with what I have. I said, no, you can't. Just because you sit with it doesn't mean anything. What are you doing when you're sitting with it? You feel what I'm saying? I know people who have literally built things off of replications of what I've done. And they're like, why can't I achieve the level that you? Case in point, there's a lot of people I know who have started podcasts because I started a podcast. They had no reason to start one. You feel what I'm saying? They're like, yo, if you can do it, I can do it. No, that is this level of the mind is when I stopped telling people they can do what I do. I gave that shit up a long time ago when I started looking at people who, and this ties into also we have the same 24 hours, the same 86 years. Nah, the reason why I say 86 years because me and my homie, we was chatting and shit, and we was vibing on some real shit, and I was like, I'm saying, he had mentioned, he was like, yo, we got the same 24, and I was like, yeah, true, we do, but then we don't, because it's all in the different levels of what we have. Like, he wasn't telling me that, we were speaking in general, and then I took it a step further. I said, but when you look at it from that perspective, we also have the same 86, but nobody looks at the distance of that. So it's like when you focus on the same 24, it's all how the mind is, and ties into what I'm saying about the limitations of the mind. When you focus on having the same 24, 5 years feels like a lot of time. When you base your life off of the 24 hours in a day, 5 years is a long time. When you base your life off the 86 years in a lifespan, 5 years is a short amount of time. So a lot of people can't see you doing something or can't see the wisdom that you're developing or whatever the case may be because they're limiting in scope to where, yo, you've been at this for 3 years. I know, only 3. That's crazy, right? And for them, they're basing it off of a 24-hour time pocket. You feel what I'm saying? It's like 24 hours, 3 hours, 3 years is a lot of time. But then when you comparing it to 86 years and a lifespan, it's like, wow, 3 fucking years was all that took? Yep, sure did. But now, tying it back to the podcast cable, what I'm saying, like, I've known a lot of people who uh are, oh, I want to do a podcast too. I want to do like, it's amazing how like my podcast time wise has not been up that long. You feel me? Well, I kind of started it in 2017, technically with the YouTube and shit. Then I transitioned in 2019. Um, so from it's 3 years in the podcast, I have well over 200 episodes. The people who have crossed over, like I've watched people who have been in this game for like a couple years now, whatever, doing podcasts, and they're like, yo, I haven't even broke 100 yet. How? Oh, wow, you haven't? Oh, that's different. My bad. It's like, yo, how are you running so much? Like, what are you just talking about? No, I'm really not talking about anything. Everything I talk about has substance, structure. You know what I mean? You learning some shit. It ain't like I'm repeating the same shit over and over and over and over and over again. You feel me? That's a different level of the mind. So you have to find within the level, and this is where I was talking about. You have a limited scope, you have unlimited scope. This is gonna tie into why I'm able to talk about everything. People will be saying shit like, yo, are you really all over the place with the shit? It's like, what's your subject? Whatever the fuck I feel like talking about, to be honest with you. But that comes within the wisdom. This is why I'm breaking this down, because there's no limit. I'm showing you in real time that, like, a lot of people, you hear the mystical people and then the gurus and shit, they talk about, yeah, knowledge itself, levels of the mind. I'm literally in real time, whether you guys are appreciating this or not, showing you the levels of the mind that I talk about achieving, talk about reaching. I show you where I am with those levels of the mind, when I am with those levels of mind, and how to actually get there. You feel what I'm saying? And that's why I'm able to be in this space. You feel me? And still rocking. It's like, I don't, I get bored sometimes. You know what I'm saying? And this is where the reality comes in, because boredom, contrary to what you think, boredom is the place, boredom is the realm in which you are using, or you will be able to leverage your wall of deliberate action. Should you choose to. When motherfuckers are bored, that's when creativity is supposed to kick in. That's when creativity does kick in. But a lot of people, they just waste time and go have sex or masturbate. You feel me? That's what they do with their wisdom. That's what they do with the opportunity to gain wisdom or reach into the level of the mind, that level of the mind, right? So, anywho, like I was saying, because I started to get off. When I consider the people who I've watched, do certain things, like, yo, why did you do it? They've had knowledge of what I was doing, but they didn't have the experience. And they're like, experience is not tenure. They think, oh, you've been doing this for a long time. No, I haven't. I really haven't. In the grand scheme of shit, I have not been doing the shit that I'm doing a long time, but you're basing it off a shorter time scale, because there's a limitation to your mind that mind doesn't have. I moved the goalpost, but I didn't change the goalpost. You feel what I'm saying? To say that we still have the same 24 hours in a day is equally still saying we have the same 86 hours in a year. I'm just looking at the goalpost differently. You feel me? So it allows me to zoom out a little bit to get a better view. But in order to do that, I had to step into the realm of the mind of wisdom. So what exactly does that look like? And what exactly does that mean? First, y'all know how I rock. We got to break down whys. We got to break down the word wisdom to even understand how it's a level of the mind. And when I break down this definition, this is really going to explain to you why a lot of people cannot reach this level of the mind, because they are afraid of this level of the mind. Everybody wants the wisdom, but like I said, they think it's tenure, but nobody really wants what it takes to be the experiencer, because to become experienced means you practice magic. And I know people, no, that's witchcraft, that's this, that. No, it's not. It's wisdom. Go and look in, as I'm about to break this down, the word wise. The word wise denotes the definition of the word wise. I'm not going to say the exact definition because it's too long, but the exact definition of wise is basically doing something or performing something in a magical way, in a way that appears mysterious or magical. That's what it is to be wise. It's crazy as hell, because when people tell you that you're wise, they're like, they don't really affirm what it is that they're saying. You feel me? But when they think somebody is wise, or whatever the case may be, you wise beyond your years, how do you get to that point? You are magical. Literally, the etymology and the actual word of the word, the meaning of the word wise. So this is why I always talk about how the universe doesn't give a fuck whether you know or not. If you're going to use certain words or use certain affirmations, You have to know that the universe automatically assumes that you know what it is. So when you tap into that unconscious mind and it embeds into your unconscious mind, it pulls from the ethers. The ethers is unbiased. So it doesn't give a fuck what it's like. Whatever was transcribed there, that's what it is. And the word wise is intentionally defined as to achieve or to do something or perform something in a magical or mysterious way. I talk about this in Sulfur 3, but in Sulfur 3, I changed the word magical so I can stop freaking people out to alchemical. Everybody talks about The Alchemist being, oh, this is the book that changed my life. It's a #1 best-selling book. Everybody reads the shit and they read it to believe in it, but not to use the alchemy that the alchemist is talking about. Because to turn, as the metaphor of what alchemy is, to turn lead into gold is magic, motherfucker. But it's not even complex magic when you really think about how to turn lead into gold, even from a reality perspective to the medical, to the actual metaphorical perspective, right? To turn lead into gold is very simple. Lead is the element Pb. Gold is Au. Literally, the way science works is so fucking beautiful because it's simple and motherfuckers try to make it complex. To go from lead to gold, you simply have to you have to increase the number of protons, electrons, and neutrons. That's it. The atomic mass, atomic weight, all of that shit. That's why y'all should have paid attention in science class. But science was so hard. Science was the area where your wisdom was going to start developing if you actually paid attention to it. But anywho, science and mathematics. But in this capacity of what it is that we're dealing with, to be an alchemist is to be a magician. But to be an alchemist is where your wisdom is developing, because at the core of it, it's where creativity resides. Your imagination is the realm in which you have the capacity to alchemize. You have the capacity to be creative. You have the capacity to be this very person who you really need to be and want to be and desire to be. It's where who you are has to emerge. So when we actually break down what wisdom is, right? Wisdom is the capacity to perform alchemy, to be an alchemist. Now, here's the thing. I talk about this. I think I have a podcast episode way, way back when about alchemy. And I mentioned how some people have alchemical moments and think they're an alchemist. No, the IST suffix denotes proficient professionalism. You know what I'm saying? Anything that has an ist on it means that you are absolute best at that. That's why it's very tricky when people are like, yo, you're scientist, you're artist, you're this and third. That ist means that you're perfect at it. Nobody wants to be perfect. They want to be called perfect, but nobody wants to actually do what it takes to be perfect, because that lets you, perfection moves you into the final two levels of the mind. The act of achieving perfection leads you into the final two levels of the mind. Perfection requires work. They say, oh, you're a perfectionist. Oh, you're too hard on yourself because it is. No, a lot of motherfuckers don't even be too hard on themselves. They are in the space of developing wisdom. Wisdom is not easy to gain. Hear me well. Wisdom is not easy to gain because it requires you to break through the wall of deliberate action. So as I said, between belief and knowledge, what do you have? The wall of cognitive dissonance. But between knowledge and wisdom, you have the wall of deliberate action. Deliberate action is so potent that it is actually a universal law. In the universal 12 laws of the universe, one of the laws is the law of inspired action. That's the same thing. The law of inspired action is required to get through the wall of deliberate action, which means you have to apply the knowledge that you have attained. A lot of people get stuck in the theory. That area too, if you kind of feel where I'm going, that little pocket of time is where those who can do, those who can't teach, those who can't is because they can't get through the wall of deliberate action, because they have not done this shit enough. We live in a society that has molded us to get it right the first time, but in getting it right the first time, you only do it one time. Sit with that. Motherfuckers be looking at me like, yo, how did you get so good at this? I don't do it one time. I was talking to the Iwi gang one time, and I was going over correlation, and I literally stopped and said, y'all, I don't even know how many times I've done correlation anymore. I've done correlation so much I don't need the lines that I draw. I draw them for my students. I draw them for the peers that are in the inflation community. I don't need to do it anymore. No bullshit. When I say I can look at a chart and know exactly what's going to happen, I can look at a chart because it's the alchemy. They're like, yo, you just no. I have went through the wall of deliberate action. But let's break down the word deliberate. Deliberate is tied to intention. All of the shit that you hear the woke people talking about, the conscious community, oh, set your intention due to this shit. I do it. I fucking do it. That's why I be looking at them like, how did y'all backslide? How did y'all slip? Because they never broke through the wall of deliberate action with the shit that they was learning. Some of them never went through the wall of cognitive dissonance, but that's a whole different reality. But because I went through the wall of deliberate action, I can't go back. Even if I try, because I have deliberately performed certain actions in everything that I've learned. Every bit of knowledge, every bit of information that I learned, I've applied well over, and I gained the experience. Now, in addition to that, I apply it antithetically. So shit don't stop just because you move from one level that you don't carry those resources on. No, just as you study the antithesis of both sides, I'm an antithetical applier to my deliberate action, though it is intentional. And that's the thing about intention that a lot of people don't need. Intention requires both the let me slow down because I'm on a roll. It's coming down faster than I can get it out. Intention is largely connected to antithesis as well. Okay? When you are intentional with something, you are also by proxy antithetical, because to be intention, to have positive intention, to have any kind of intention, you still have to have the full dynamic of the thing you are about to be intentional about. So to be deliberate, to have the deliberate action means that no matter what it is, you can play offense and defense, metaphorically, of course. You can equally play both sides. And by equally playing both sides, you understand both sides very well. To be a great defender, to be great with defense means you have to thoroughly understand the offense. To be great with offense means you have to thoroughly understand the defense. It's not hard, but the wall of deliberate action is what you have to break through. You think the wall of cognitive dissonance is hard? The wall of deliberate action is hard to get through. You know why? Because that is where a lot of people's dreams are killed. A lot of people's dreams are killed and they can't perform the alchemy because they talk too fucking much, for one. And for two, they let people talk them out of the deliberate action necessary for them to gain the fucking wisdom. People can literally tell you, yo, you've been doing this for too long, or you sure that's going to work for you? Or I think you should do this. I think you should do that. I think you should shut the fuck up. Because getting through the wall of deliberate action means you have to silence the world. And this is why, I forgot what episode it is, but you can search it if you go to my webpage. Reassurance versus advice. Advice is how you are using other people's experience, not tenure. Advice is how you're using other people. Ooh, when I break this down, it's going to sound crazy. Advice is how you use other people's tenure. You leverage other people's, not tenure. Advice is leveraging other people's experience to break through the wall of deliberate action. You feel me? Reassurance is leveraging other people's tenure to keep you stagnant. Oftentimes we think we're getting advice from people when we're getting reassurance. We go to them, what do you think I should do about this? You're asking tenure, not experience. 9 times out of 10, when we ask people for advice, we're really coming to them. When we ask people for advice, 9 times out of 10, they give us reassurance based off their tenure, not off their experience. I have so many people who ask me, why don't you come to me about shit and talk to me about this? I could have helped you with this. You can't. You can't give me anything but reassurance to keep going. That's why when you try to bring something to people and you be like, yo, how do I keep my focus in this, that, and the third? It's like, yo, just keep your head up. When you try to bring advice to people, they want you to understand. They try to reassure you. Yo, you got this, yo. Just keep your head up. You got this. And you stuck looking like, that's not what I needed. I needed advice. Like, oh, now I got to figure it out on my own. You know why? Because you don't go to experience to get advice. You go to tenure to get reassurance. And you don't know it because it ties back into people. Oh, I've been on this earth longer than you. So yeah, you be thinking that they should know what you know. No, they shouldn't. They shouldn't. And that's okay. You have to be willing to accept that and develop and grow from that. But this is why when I talk to people, they always ask me, yo, how do you always have the right answer? Because I'm not reassuring you for shit. I'm giving you the advice you came to give me, you came to get. Whether, and because I have tapped into this level of the mind, whether I have experienced your shit or not is irrelevant, because I can draw out your experience and still be able to give you the advice that you need, because I have the wherewithal to be able to do that with the levels of the mind. I can come to you and know where you at. I've had people say like, yo, you know a lot about a lot. No, I don't. Half the time, I don't even be knowing the shit that people present to me. But if I let you talk enough, you'll tell me what it is that you have your issue with. I draw you to your own conclusion. You feel me? I don't give you a reassurance. I give you the advice that you know you need. You show me where, like, yo, where am I stuck at? Okay, cool. You need to do this. Like, when I come to realizations about entrepreneurship and shit, and I tell somebody, like, you could have asked me that. I could have told you that. You didn't tell me that, though. You didn't tell me, you couldn't tell me where I was stuck. I had to come and tell you where I was stuck, and you had to re up. I knew it because you, and it makes you think, oh, damn, you did know all the time. So then when you go to that person, they stuck again. And that's why it's hard, because that wall of deliberate action is so powerful. It can separate the tenure from the experience. You ever seen a motherfucker who's, you've been repeating the same cycle over and over again and you think you're gaining experience? This is why it's hard to get a job. Jobs look for experience and people think it's about tenure. Well, I just went to the school for 4 years and got the degree. That's tenure, my nigga. You don't have any experience with what you're doing, because experience has nothing to do with time. So in tapping into the level of the mind being the space where our first expression is, now we're moving into the unlimited space. We're also moving into the timeless reality. Time don't exist up here. You manipulate time. This ties into the alchemy of it all. This is where the magic starts happening. You literally start manipulating time. You ever been in a situation, when you're in your third level of the mind, time disappears. 5 minutes can feel like, you know what I'm saying? Like 30 minutes could feel like 5 minutes. 1 hour can feel like 10 minutes. And you're like, how? Because you have transitioned into that level of the mind and don't even know it. I'm just aware of this level of the mind now, and I know how to stay there. Time is irrelevant. When I tell people shit is speeding up and they're like, yo, how did you, like within the last 7 years, just from my 25th year when I actually was like, yo, I gotta wake up, and I started to change and shit to where I am right now, I have accumulated the experience that I've accumulated trumps people who have been on this earth longer than me. Some people who are in their 60s have not experienced the shit that I've experienced in the last 7 years. And they're afraid to, but they got tenure, and they have the tenure to talk shit like they know. And they wonder why I don't talk to them. Like, my experience trumps your tenure in this world. That's some crazy shit. I get to a point now, and I started to think about Prince. You feel me? They're like, yo, Prince is like, yo, why Prince don't age? And you watch the interview, and Prince literally told you how he doesn't age. He said, I don't count my birthdays. He said, I was born one time. I ain't got to relive that shit, because it fucks with you and it makes you start to think about time. Prince, when you actually understand Prince and you look at his catalog and shit, Prince is one of the greatest creators of his generation. Prince literally can play every, like that. What song was it? I think it was When Doves Cry at the end, when he played that himself. There's a level that you have to tap into the mind to shatter that limitation, to think that's something that you have to stop with. You feel me? He played the piano, he played the guitar, he played every instrument, he could play the drum. He produced everything. You feel me? That's because you have to go into that wall of deliberate action. This is where a lot of motherfuckers about to drop off, because four powerful words. Well, no, two, because the other two words were at a lower level. Two powerful words that is going to help you get through that wall of deliberate action are discipline and consistency. Two things a lot of people don't have. And a lot of people don't have discipline simply because of the association of the word discipline. People think discipline is punishment. No, discipline is how you get through the wall of deliberate action. Discipline and consistency is how you get through the wall of deliberate action, and it shatters the illusion of time. And when you get there, that's when you gain the experience, which allows you to step into the realm of creativity, right? So, real quick, I kind of got all over the place. I want to take it back to the alchemy. You feel me? Alchemy is magic. Alchemy is magic. Alchemy is that point where you are literally able to take nothing out of something. Like people ask you, how can you create something out of nothing? You're not, because nothing is something. Like this is gonna be a fucking fucked up ass paradox how I break this shit down, but nothing is truly something. So you never really take nothing out of something. It's nothing to the person observing what you're looking at. To you, it can be everything. That's why I tell people I'm everything and nothing. It just depends on who I'm talking to. It really just depends on who I'm talking to. That's why I don't show exactly who I am. I don't have to put who I am on Front Street all the time because I have experienced a level of wisdom that lets me say, okay, cool. I know when to be everything and I know when to be nothing. And I float anywhere between those 2 points. You feel me? Because then when you understand the conceptualization of everything and nothing and how they're dual, how they're opposite sides of the same coin, then you understand how you can bring something from nothing. Because you're not bringing something from nothing. You're bringing something from the other side of nothing, which is everything. That other person never saw the everything. Excuse me. They only saw the nothing. So when people are like, yo, I came from nothing and I made it or something, when they talk about the hood, they act like that. Let me show you something. This is how oblivious we are to our own realities, right? They talk about the hood. You feel me? Motherfucker, like, I came from nothing to something. But yet they go into the hood to gentrify it. And they go into the hood to steal the innovation and the ideas and shit. I made a post on social media. I was like, we talk about culture vultures, but vultures only eat dead shit. Sit with that. Vultures only eat dead shit. So if they're vulturing our culture, what does that say about our culture? It's dying or it's dead. One of the two. You feel what I'm saying? So when we talk about the hood, we make it seem like it's nothing. No, that's where everything is at. They know. The Asians know. The Arabs know. Everybody knows but us. Because our perception is to see it as nothing because we don't have that alchemical mind yet. We're still at the level of belief. Why you think there's also a liquor store and a church in every single hood? Because we got to keep you in the belief level of the mind. All of them have moved above that belief level of the mind to the knowledge level of the mind to where they're able to say, we can capitalize off this. To the wisdom level of the mind and say, let's keep them there to devalue the populations, devalue the neighborhoods. We can come in and buy them for cheaper prices. We're going to leverage their ability to not see the everything in themselves. We're going to take something from nothing, but it's everything to us because we see the bigger potential. We don't, right? So when we say we brought something out of nothing, it's like, no, you don't know when I look at myself and I'm like, yo, I came from the hood too. It's like, and then we talk about people, it's like, yo, we had the same opportunities. People that grew up in the same household, they go, no, it's all in your perception of how you view everything and nothing. This is where that area within the wall of deliberate action, that's where boredom, the imagination, all of these different things sit right there just before and within that wall of deliberate action. You break through it to become the alchemist. You feel what I'm saying? You got to break through it to become the alchemist. So like I was saying, when you take alchemy as the magic reality, that's how you take nothing from something, but you have to see everything in the nothing in order to make it something. It's a crazy paradox, I know. It's a crazy paradox. But people be thinking when you get to a certain level of the mind, depending on what level of the mind the person is you're talking to, nothing will make sense to them. You ever been talking to a motherfucker and you're just like, yo, I'm making clear, perfect sense. Why can't you get it? There's a barrier there. At this point in my life, when we get to understanding, you'll be able to see how you can see all things. But sometimes y'all struggle trying to communicate because you might be in the level of, for that particular thing, you might be in a level of wisdom of the mind, and you're talking to somebody who's at the level of belief. Think about which two walls they're sitting through. You literally have to get them through the wall of deliberate action and the wall of cognitive dissonance before they can even begin to fathom what you're talking about. I remember when I said this statement and I got called arrogant for it by people. It didn't bother me because I knew what level of the mind they were on. This is when I be telling motherfuckers, I know what level of the mind you're on. So, and I mean, knowing what chakra you sitting at. So I don't have to argue with certain shit. But I was like, I reminisce about shit that people haven't fathomed yet. Just look at those two words. To reminisce is to recall some shit that has already transpired. To fathom is to see something that is beyond where you are. I reminisce about shit that people haven't fathomed yet. I forgot shit that people haven't learned yet. You dig what I'm saying? And when people are like, yo, that's an arrogant sentiment, it's not. You just you believe that it's an arrogant sentiment of it because how I'm presenting this to you, you can only operate. You haven't even gone through the wall of cognitive dissonance, which means there's no antithesis to what it is that you're breaking through. So you have not broken through that wall of cognitive dissonance. Then you have not even broken through the wall of deliberate action with what it is that I'm doing. But yet and still, motherfuckers say, you can do whatever you put your mind to. You see how you have to really understand the levels of the mind to know what it is to mean, what it means to actually put your mind to something? What level of the mind are you putting to it? People don't even know what level of the mind they're putting into it. You feel what I'm saying? They're sitting at a state of belief and they're putting that level of they're putting that form of their mind to it. I haven't put the belief level of my mind to anything in a long time. Everything, like I said, is either going to be wisdom or understanding at this point because I know how the mind works now. Not no psychology shit of, ooh, I understand behaviors. Psychologists can't fuck with me. This is how when people are like, yo, how did you get through the depression? How did you get through anxiety? How do you battle your mental health and all that shit? Because I have transcended mental health. Hear me well. We're going to get back on track, but I need y'all to understand this, and it's going to be a hard thing to digest. Mental health only exists at the belief level of the mind. I had one of my travelers, one of my listeners, she was like, when you dropped your episode on healed, hurt, and recover, she said, it helped. She said, I haven't had anxiety since. Yeah, I don't think y'all understand what that did to me. That shit touched me because it was like, wow, it's deeper than that. I had taken her, as far as her own personal healing and everything, I had taken her beyond the level of belief. That's the only place that mental health issues, the negative mental health issues reside. Think about it. A lot of the shit that when we had, the biggest ones are depression, anxiety, right? Depression and anxiety. And what did they derive from? The shit we believe about ourselves, the shit we believe about our circumstances, the shit we believe about our environments. That shows the dynamic of the everything and nothing that I was talking about. You feel me? I've reached a point where I can see the other side. It's like what used to depress me excites me now. That's a powerful move because that's where the alchemy comes in. You have to get through the wall of deliberate action. But like I said, to get through that wall requires you to be intentional. But to be intentional, you also have to be antithetical. You don't stop understanding like each level, you have the skills to keep going. You don't just lose them. You feel me? But that is the aspect of what people think when you're educated. You try to believe and you try to remember. I learned a lot of the shit that I've gone through. So that wall of deliberate action is one of the most powerful pieces there because it's like where you the only like people always talk about getting out of your comfort zone, right? When you got to get uncomfortable, the biggest part of comfort that people don't get is that comfort hides boredom. I'm going to say that again. Comfort hides boredom. And the reason why I'm saying that is because boredom is where you strengthen. Boredom is where you take the time to break through the wall of deliberate action when you're bored. When you're bored and you can't figure out what the fuck to do, you'll never get through that wall. This is why relationships are often difficult for me. And I had to learn that like back in the day, like women have to always we need to be doing something. I'm bored. I don't know what to do. You can't even entertain yourself. I've never been bored in my life. That's why hindsight is where I'm able to go back and look these things up and say, damn, I've never been bored in my life. And now it ties into people like, how do you know so much? How are you so well versed on some shit? I use my boredom wisely. I use my boredom to break through any wall of deliberate action because I have the time to do so. You feel me? I grew up in the hood. I grew up in poverty. I had nothing but time. I had nothing but boredom. I had nothingness all around me, but I saw everything in it. Everything was an opportunity. Everything was a moment to create, to figure something out. And I used it wisely. I read, I studied. I remember I was like 7 and I told my mom I wanted to be a photographer. She bought me a little camera kit. It was a little, the 35 millimeter camera rolls and shit. I was outside, pinka, 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 but it made me study photography. So much so I remember, I never forget when I first started reading, I used to call it photography. And that opened up because that opened up my perception of understanding how words play together. Because you had to call it ography instead of ography. Because I'm putting those two words, photo and graphy. It was like, this is photography. But then I had to sit and say, oh, it's photography. And then it led me to the other words that end with graphy as the suffix that, and it just helped. It helped so much, help open so much shit because I kept going through the wall of deliberate action. I do shit. When I be doing jam sessions, you might hear me, I might have a moment where I'm like, I do this shit. I do this shit. Like, that's what I mean by that. I'll go through the wall of deliberate action. I do it because there's intention there. That intention is antithetical. I'm willing to do the good and I'm willing to do the bad. You feel me? I've done a jam session where I said, I'm light and dark, I cake the walk. I'm light and dark, I take the walk, I cake the walk. It's easy to me. That's the wall of deliberate action. The light and the dark is no different from each other. I'm not afraid of either one anymore. And I don't have a reason to be because I can pull something out of anything. You feel me? But that comes for that level of the mind. And that level of the mind is is largely largely imbued with a heavier reality and a heavier perspective of the self that has to be thoroughly understood. Because now when we looking at the knowledge of self, the wisdom of self is different. You ever notice how people they laugh at inmates and shit? When motherfuckers go to prison, they do solitary confinement and shit, and they by themselves like, yo, how did you get so smart? What happened? They had nothing but time. They were bored. Why did your body get? Because I was bored. So this is what I did. I only operated from the physical. I might read books and shit like that, but whatever the case may be, that wall of deliberate action is where all of that shit is housed. What do you do with your boredom? What will you do with your boredom determines whether or not you have the permission to access that third level of the mind. If you are afraid of boredom, or boredom means as soon as you get bored, you have to do something. Oh, every Friday night, what we doing tonight? What we doing tonight? Let's go get drunk. Let's go do this. Let's go smoke. Let's go party. Let's go do all of these. What do you do with your boredom? If you don't, what do you do? Are you creating yourself or destroying yourself with your boredom? Because you're going to alchemize your life off of those two standards either way. When you're boredom, your boredom is where your alchemy is at its highest potential. How are you going to do it? Some motherfuckers will play video games or like this new shit where the man cave thing happens. You know what started that shit? Niggas want to like, I don't need a man cave. I need to study. I don't even need it. Like, I just need to be always, what I do with my boredom is different. I have people ask me, yo, you don't play video games no more? I don't. I haven't played a video game like heavily since in like fucking 8-9 years, maybe. You feel me? I think the last time I played a game, let me see. Yeah, it had to be like 2 years ago. Nah, so that ain't 8-9 years. It was 2 years ago. And I only know because my youngest nephew was a newborn. Like, he was a newborn. And I remember this moment so vividly because it was beautiful. He started crying. And my niece, she just took off running. My sister's daughter, she just took off running. And we was like, Lasia, what you running for? Slow down. She said, my cousin's crying. And I was like, oh. And she just went down to go see what it was and everything. Like, they got a nice bond. I love them and shit. That's why I'm ready to bring some kids into it so they can be around them. But I'm saying that because that's when I knew that I played the last video game because I had beat my nephew, and then I was like, y'all need to play video games. I beat him in 2K. And my youngest nephew, not my youngest, but the middle nephew, he was like, he was telling his brothers, man, you let Uncle Ray Ray beat you, bro. You trash. And then I beat his ass too. But I don't play the video games. Like, it was a joke that I was playing with. Like, somebody asked me one time, what's your 2K rating? Grown ass man. He like, yo, what's your 2K rating? I was like, I ain't got no 2K rating. And he was like, yo, you that trash, bro? I was like, what's your P&L? What color is it? What's a P&L? Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. We different, bro. Because I can always come back down to your level and play these games and get the 2K rating and be busting motherfuckers' ass again. Because I was a gamer. You feel what I'm saying? But now I've done something different with my boredom. You can't come up here to have a green P&L. Not only that, you can't even step into the realm to teach people how to get their P&Ls green and keep them green. We different. We totally different, my nigga. Don't, because it's the different. And I'm able to talk my arrogant shit because it's really confidence, because you have to base it off of your level of the mind. When people call you arrogant, And this is why I always mention that, but this is why I don't give a fuck anymore when people call me arrogant, because I'm like, you're observing everything I'm saying from the level of belief. You haven't even gotten through the wall of cognitive dissonance, so I know you ain't gotten through the wall of deliberate action, and I still haven't even got to understanding with what I'm talking about. We really ain't talking about the same shit, even though we talking about the same shit. It's crazy, right? When you look at life like that, right? This is the playground for your mind. You feel me? Alchemy sits at wisdom. Alchemy and wisdom go hand in hand, because you need to alchemize shit. You have to be creative with your applications. Because the application of knowledge gives you experience, right? But what does the application of experience get you? Creativity. Creativity is what breeds understanding. I'm setting the tone for what we're going through next, for next week. But creativity breeds understanding. To be creative means you have to continually apply experience. That's where it sets up. That's why the difference is people only apply tenure. When you applying tenure, you're repeating the same cycle. You're not actually growing in anything. You go and repeat the same shit. So it's like, yeah, I put 10 years in and did what? And did absolutely what? Nothing. I put those same 10 years in and I've done everything. The wealth of experience that I have, like, nobody can fathom what people cannot fathom what I reminisce about. This is why when I'm in the EWE, sometimes I had to step back and be like, hey, y'all, did I ever tell y'all about this? They'd be like, nah. Damn, I just assumed you knew. Because the way in which it's so easy to me now. You feel me? Little tweaks. I'm like, yo, I can tell y'all ain't gonna get it if I do it like this, so I'm gonna do it like this. Damn, bro, I get it better. I know. Because I know. This is like, you feel me? Because I've experienced and I have the alchemy to create this reality. You feel what I'm saying? People are still shocked. Like, I just started posting my, not necessarily my results, but my market calls. I be picking random shit. People be like, yo, I'm gonna show you right now. If you follow me on social media, right? And if you've been following me, especially over the last, by the time this drops, 3 weeks. Let me see. Yeah, the last 3.5 weeks. Every night around 7 o'clock, I make a post and I say, did I call it? I knew that I called it. I knew I was gonna call it. I knew what it was. Like, it's like this shit's not even hard for me anymore. But I just, I haven't been wrong. At the time of this recording, I had 13 for 15, and then I had 14 for 15 in my calls. The only reason why the other 2 calls didn't work, because they hit a memory bank, what's called a memory bank, and it bounced up. But overall, it continued to sell. But in that moment, I was wrong. So I had to eat that. I had to say, okay, yeah, this is what it is. But in that time, I have a 27 out of 30%, a 27 out of 30 success rate in market reads alone. And that's just what I show people in those moments. And these are all random things. I pick these shits randomly. I don't know. I don't really be looking at these stocks, to be honest with you. But if I look at them and say, I can make a play off that, because this is going to be an option. The prices are going to go down. I know this shit. You feel me? You're really in real time. I'm watching you. You're watching what wisdom, which is so crazy. It's almost like the word humble. You know how people make humble a good word? And it's really a bad word, but they make it a good word. They say humble. But then when you look at humility, that's also a good word. But then when you look at humiliated and humiliation and how bad those words are, but they all come from the same root. So when people talk about, yo, this person is so wise, wisdom, 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 the definition, as I said, is the ability to perform magic, in a sense. Where do you think a wizard comes from? People think because that little Z is changed. Z's and S's kind of that's why the Z is pronounced in the phonetics of the word. So when you go back, wizardry comes from wisdom. How the fuck do you perform magic if you are not a wizard? So I make jokes and I make reference to it like I'm a wizard in this motherfucker. People will look at that and say, now that's scary because you're talking about magic. But it's like, but how the fuck, where do you think I get my wisdom from, stupid? All you keep hearing is get into the markets. But do you trade or do you invest? Should you do stocks, Forex, crypto, or NFTs? My personal answer is not a single one if you don't know how to read a chart. Without knowing how to read a chart, you end up giving all your money to those who do. Do you know what a candle is? Do you know the pocket of activity? Do you know the difference between market direction and market control? If you answer no at least once, you might want to learn how to read a chart first. Learning how to read a chart will let you know if you should trade or invest and if you should do stocks, forex, crypto, and or NFTs. It will also let you know if this is even for you or not. So visit IamJustSeen.com to learn how to read charts with my Mastering the Market course, ebooks, and webinars today. The world is changing. The question is, will you adapt with it? There's no difference between wisdom and wizardry. It's not. It's all in your perception of what you believe it to be. So when you believe a wizard is bad, you can have difficulty developing wisdom because the universe don't give a fuck whether you know the definitions of these words or not. But you'll put yourself in a battle because you simultaneously want to achieve wisdom, but you don't want to perform magic. You don't want to be a wizard. So what's an analog to a wizard from a woman's perspective? A witch. Literally, think about what they were burning at the stake. They were burning the oracles. I know you like how I flipped it, didn't you? When they talk about the burning, the oracles, the gypsies, the oracles, and all of that shit, that's what they was burning. That's what they were calling witches. Because those were alchemists. Those are the people who are experiencing wisdom. Think about when in America, they call them the witch doctors. And we think, oh, how did a witch doctor just pull the herbs and shit? Nigga, it's wisdom, motherfucker, because they have the creativity. They've gone through the boredom to have deliberate action to understand how these herbs work in the body. And they know this herb works for this herb works for that, this, and you call them witch doctors because now you take down you break down a barrier of what the word means. You make witch such an evil thing. And because you make witch such an evil thing, they can't even approach the wisdom. I told y'all, I am cold with this reality right now. Shit's different. I know you need a moment to sit with that because it's like, damn, bro. Like I told y'all, season 8 is different. I'm different now, y'all. I've evolved somehow and the shit is different. I am now opening a different portal to get a different level of information now. Whatever it was I achieved before and I completed, I did. But anywho, we're back to the main point because we only on the 3rd level of the mind, y'all. Y'all can only imagine what understanding is going to be like when I talk about that shit, right? But ironically, understanding is going to be very simple. And you'll see because it's full circle. But where that magic is happening, it's like this is where, these are how words play out because now when you don't understand the alchemy, you don't understand the magic, you don't know how to actively do it. So now moving through the wall of deliberate action, like I said, it requires intention and doing. It's the law. It's actually a law that is governing that wall that you must use. You have to use the law to break through the wall. Bars. The law of inspired action helps you break through the wall of deliberate action. You feel me? But here's why a lot of people can't break through the wall, because a lot of people say you keep running into a brick wall. People will literally tell you you're running to the brick. They tell you which wall you're running through. You're doing the same thing. That's insanity. Let me tell you about insanity. Insanity is repeating the same thing without gaining the results or whatever the case may be. A lot of people don't have to see your result process. Insanity, again, is only at the first level of the mind. It's insanity when you don't have the antithesis that keeps you from running into the wall of cognitive dissonance. You keep doing the same thing because you don't have the antithesis of the other side. You ever heard me say, good triumphs over evil when good gets with the shits? Watch any superhero movie you watch. I don't give a fuck what movie it is. The villain will beat the hero's ass for the whole fucking movie until the hero does some evil shit. Think about it. It's not until the hero does some evil shit that the villain gets defeated. And in the same proxy, the villain is beating the hero's ass because the villain is willing to do good shit. The villain will wear disguises. They'll go interact with the people. They'll go interact with the girlfriend, the love interest or whatever, make her, and then kidnap her. Because the villain gets with the good shit in order to balance. It's the antithesis. They push through the wall of cognitive dissonance. But like I said, it's not until the hero decides, I got to do some evil shit because this good shit ain't working, ultimately allowing them to beat the villain. The stories have been right there written into it, but we go and get entertained by them instead of learning from what they're teaching us. Every superhero movie shows you how to break through the wall of cognitive dissonance. Everyone. This is why when we actually on a deeper level, the heroes that we love the most are the ones who walk both sides. Who is the number one Marvel character to date? You probably say Wolverine, and you would be right. You know why? Because Wolverine is good and evil. He's the perfect balance of both. You don't know he can easily pick sides, but he doesn't pick sides. It just so happens that the X-Men were the ones who recruited him. But he really don't give a fuck about the X-Men. You know why? Because he's both good and evil. You know who's another good character like that? Deadpool. They're not swayed between a side. Because they can get with the shits. They break through the wall of cognitive dissonance. So with insanity, that's where insanity sits, within that level of the mind. Insanity cannot sit within the level of the mind where the wall of deliberate action comes through, because now you're intentional with why you're using both sides. You're intentional with the antithesis it takes to knock this motherfucking wall down. You feel what I'm saying? That's not insanity. But when people like, I don't see progress. Progress is invisible. Hear me well. Progress is invisible. Results are tangible. People, you got to stop thinking progress and results are the same thing. They're not. Progress is invisible. Progress is literally invisible. I'm going to say that again because so many of this could have been an Entrepreneurs episode. So many of us give up because the visible process we see is not a reward. And it's not a result. Results and rewards are visible. Progress is invisible. You try to talk about your progress to people, they will silence you, say, I don't see it. They're not supposed to. They say that, what is it, the 4-4-4 principle? The first 4 weeks you work out, you see the results. The second 4 weeks you work out, the people around you see the results. The final 4, that's when everybody else sees the results. Progress is invisible. So that means if you see yourself one way the first 4 weeks that nobody else can see, that means the next 8 weeks you still see yourself a way that nobody else can see, but it's deeper. You feel what I'm saying? Then by the time everybody else can see it too, you have already seen so deep into it. Progress is invisible. Only you can see progress. But if you're trying to show your progress, you'll never get to that point of being able to push through the wall of deliberate action, because you can't stay disciplined and consistent because you're trying to be rewarded for the progress that only you can see. Nobody else can see it. So if you're explaining, I got this going on, and nobody says, I can't see the progress, you can't get mad because their level of the mind can't see your shit. Imagine the progress that is developed in the wall of breaking through the wall of deliberate action, and you're showing it to somebody who can't get through the wall of cognitive dissonance. Reassurance versus advice. A lot of us defeat ourselves because we're literally talking to somebody about a different level of the mind. Because we think everybody's mind is on the same level. No. Some niggas got tenure in this world and some people got experience, and that's the difference between the two. You're sitting here going through the progressive motions to develop experience, and you're talking to a motherfucker who barely believes. They don't even have faith in what you're talking about. They fear what you're talking about. Like when my family and friends and people say trading and investing is gambling. Nigga. All right. They fear it. So I know you haven't gone through the wall of cognitive dissonance. You damn sure haven't. I know you haven't gone through the wall of deliberate action that I have gone through. You can't talk to me about that shit. When people are like, how do you draw it on the dry erase board? Deliberate action, nigga. I don't like, this shit's easy. This shit's a motherfucking layup. Now I'm using these episodes now to pretty much break the barrier of the mind and let motherfuckers know I'm really not as arrogant as people make me. Y'all just ain't on my level, literally. I mean that respectfully too. You're just not on my level because you can't take your mind where I could take mine. And I haven't even shown you the full depths of everywhere I've taken my mind yet. When you look at So Frail, when you look at Hitting It Raw, all of these things were derived in me breaking through the wall of deliberate action. It didn't take me long to do it because I understood how to maneuver through these points, because I understood the alchemy of it all. You feel me? And then understanding the alchemy of it all, that's where my creativity comes in, the ability to apply my experience. That's all creativity is. Well, motherfuckers be like, yo, and that's what I hate so much about social media now. They're calling motherfuckers creators and content creators. Motherfuckers ain't really creative. They're regurgitators. They repackage somebody else's creation and they utilize it. You feel me? I was talking to my bro, and I was talking to a couple of people about this, and they was like, yo, you changed a lot of social media shit. I got motherfuckers, look, Pete, let me tell you how powerful my impact is. I have motherfuckers saying breath. BREH. I've been saying it for years. I always end the caption with it, or I say some shit and like when I'm bruh, like people say it. They don't even know where it came from. They don't even know what it means. They don't even know why I use it. But people will text me and shit. Like if I'm texting motherfuckers and I'm like, yo, bruh, the text back, bruh. People use my lingo. And it's like when you develop a certain lingo, when you're able into that space, like you tap into something. And a lot of people just do it because it's cool. You feel what I'm saying? But there's a lot of things like from that word, I've had people using that, on social media. I started Slide Twos. I started the Slide Two thing. Yeah, they had the Instagram had the function of carousels, but I started Slide Twos. That's the whole theme of Slide Twos when you make a post and you put a random picture. It's not, and the pictures were never really random. This is literally my facial expression. This is what I'm thinking, or this is what I'm going through. I had a laugh. I had certain things. I had a serious moment. I started that shit. Then everybody else started doing it. And I watched other people, they took it to a different level. Some people put their own face in it to try to brand themselves, and it's like, y'all don't know where it came from. That's the creativity. That's the power. That's the alchemy. I created that shit and everybody else just duplicated it. I've been an innovator. It's not just because I'm an Aries, but it's because I'm able to use my mind the way that I'm able to use my mind. There's a lot of shit in this world. Look at the podcast perspective right now. Niggas is literally talking in profane profanity. But it's like, oh, it's authenticity. How do you vibe? How do you do? I've been cussing. I've been using all of this shit they told me wasn't professional is what's now professional right now. I don't know if it was the pandemic that shifted the game or whatever the case may be, but I'm glad I was always in it before. Because when you the leader of the pack, it's like, the dopest part about being the leader of the pack is that by the time the people catch on, you can pivot to something else. I've already pivoted to something else, and a lot of people don't see it coming, but I put money on it to catch, and motherfuckers gonna start doing it. Oh, that works. I know it works. But you don't understand why I know it works. I understand how it works because I understand what needed to go into that creative endeavor. I'm the originator of the shit. I push myself because of that, because of the wisdom that I have to be an alchemist. You feel me? To be that alchemist, to be that real creator. So Instagram and social media is called like motherfuckers ain't even content creators. They really doing stupid shit. Everything is a challenge. When you think about it, most of the content creation is challenges. You're challenged to do the same shit as somebody else, but just do it better. Nah. Don't be the challenge completer, or don't be the challenge participant, be the challenge creator. Be the originator of the challenge. Be the originator of the sound. Be the originator of the things that that you're doing, and watch how the people absorb it. But authentically put yourself into it. You feel me? My new thing that I'm deciding to do, because it was like I realized the alchemy of where certain things die. You feel me? So I realized, and looking at it, I was still trying to maintain an old way of moving because it was like everybody else is still doing it. I started on this wave and everybody else is still doing it and they still rocking because they're stuck there. And if you're gonna be stuck there, dude, like that's the level that they gotta stay. I'm not bound to stay there, so I had to switch it up. And now that I switched it up, things have changed. You feel what I'm saying? But when you create something, sometimes you don't want to let it go because I started doing this shit and everybody else started fucking with it. You feel me? And that's where the separation between my podcast and everybody else is, because while everybody else is doing they're only talking about one thing. Y'all have yet to get a conversation that is the same. You feel me? That's because the level of the mind that I'm sitting at. I'm well versed in a lot of shit. So in my profane profundity, like that's why, like that's like people think it's just I'm gonna be, you know what I mean? I can go where people can't go. About anything. We go from entrepreneurship. We go from Black history. We go from cultural events. We go from so much shit. And I can give you consistently an hour and a half to 2 hours every time. How? Because I am applying my experience. I experience the shit that I talk about. I don't just go and get a few, like, that's why I can do these joints one take off the head. I'm like, yo, you don't prepare for these? No. The fuck? And some of the people that I've invited on this episode, on these episodes early on, because I was, putting people on, I was like, they didn't have it. People literally tell me, I don't know how you can get that much out of it. How can't you? I can only talk for like 15, 20 minutes. Those same people need, because you don't have that level of the mind yet. You haven't had access that level of the mind to do you. You're doing what works. I don't do what works. I do me, and it works. You feel me? Just Seen is a the branding of Just Seen is a whole different reality. I think a lot of people miss that point. Again, that's another thing that I was doing. Look at a lot of motherfuckers' name. I'm Justin. They put their name. Just this. No, see, you don't understand why I'm saying it, because they don't understand that final tag that was on it. I'm just saying nothing less, but always more. There's always gonna be more to this shit. But everybody else is like, I'm just me. No, you don't understand. I'm just me. So when you have to break it down, it's like, yo, it's like, who are you? I'm me. That's it. Like, yo, you day trade and invest. You're an author. You talk about masculinity. You talk about nutrition. What is it that you, I've literally had somebody ask me, what is it that you don't? There's no limitation, because I'm now in the space of the mind of the unlimited, which now I just talked about the mind, that third level of the mind. Now, mind you, we still have the three modalities, y'all. And the reason why I'm not really using the modalities that much is because I've already had a whole episode on the three modalities of the mind. So I can just factor them in little pieces. But now, in addition to wisdom, in addition to my level of wisdom, I also have broken it down to get it to my unconscious mind, conscious, subconscious, and unconscious. That's pure alchemy. Pure alchemy is when you're able to, and like I said, this is the difference between tenure and experience. Pure alchemy is when you not only on the third level of the mind, you have pushed your information, you have pushed your experience, like you have pushed it to that level of the unconscious mind to where you don't think anymore. This is something that I'm literally showing in real time my EWE students on how to do. I haven't told them yet. If they're following the podcast, they're listening now, but I have not told them that that's what I'm doing. I'm putting this information in your unconscious mind through deliberate. That's why I tell them, pull up every day, 5:30. I have about 2 consistent people, 2 that show up to every single live, 2 or 3. Other people, oh, I ain't got the time to do this. I ain't got the, you see what I'm saying? This is where the levels happen. Everybody tells me they want to be at this level of the mind. Everybody tells me they want, yo, how do I get to where you at? I show you in real time, but I don't tell you to do it. I show you in real time exactly what it takes to get here. A lot of people can't do it. And it's not that they can't do it as if they're incapable. Life just won't allow them. Some people got kids. Some people got to work their jobs and they work second shift. I can only do this because I can only do this at a particular time. But now here's what I say. When I actually go back in and I rewatch the videos and I look at it, the numbers are going up because people are watching them on a second tape. That's why I left them there. That's why I created the EWE the way that I did, because I know everybody's time doesn't coincide with mine. It's not supposed to. Doesn't mean you're not supposed to get this information, but it's to get you to the level of wisdom. I'm making everybody wise with this shit through deliberate action. When they show up, we do correlation every single day. We go through all 28 pairs of the Forex market so we can understand what the US dollar is doing. Then we go to the indices and we break down the indices. Then we go to the crypto. We break down the crypto. We know exactly what the market is doing every time. I do that because I am embedding this down through deliberate action, with the intention of the antithesis of showing you the positive and the negative, how to buy and how to sell. I'm showing you how to do everything. So when you look at the market, your unconscious mind reacts. When I tell my students, when they be like, yeah, I was looking at this trade, but it was like, it didn't feel right. So I didn't take it. You know why I didn't feel right? Because your unconscious mind kicked in. This information is so wired down to your conscious mind doesn't have to think. That's where the scary part is. Because when your unconscious mind has the experience too, you can act. You can just do it. It's Nike for real, for real. You can just do the shit. And I'm programming people's minds to understand how to look at the markets. So you don't have to, your experience is not going to show you, like, you feel me? Yeah, you still going to have to take those lumps. You still going to have to get those moments where you get stopped out and you get the winning trades. You have to feel them all. You have to feel them all. You feel me? And you have to be able to say, oh, so now when you looking at a trade, You can be looking at something, you can be, yo, this got a lot of profit potential, but you had that uneasiness in you that's like, this ain't gonna work though. I know it ain't gonna work. Trust it. Trust it. You know why? Because that is your unconscious mind speaking from the third level of your mind. That is the unconscious modality tying into the third level of your mind. I do this. I do this. You feel me? When I tell people about being an alchemist, being a true alchemist is when you can help people become an alchemist as well, or you can help people have their own alchemical moments. A lot of people be on social media flexing on me, yo, I'm an alchemist because they had an alchemical moment. Or we're manifesting. What does it mean to manifest? I'm literally giving you the keys. Slowly but surely, you have to access all 4 levels of the mind to be a true manifester. Especially this motherfucker right here. The wall of deliberate action is the one key that is going to help your manifestations come into reality. Niggas think they just going to believe and snap their fingers and the shit. Melodies are going to rain down from heaven. No, nigga. You got to do the rain dance. You feel me? You got to do the motherfucking rain dance. A lot of people are afraid to do the rain dance. And they're afraid to do the rain dance because they don't know. Because the rain dance is the wall of deliberate action. Our ancestors left a lot of cryptic codes that we don't even understand. You feel me? The rituals, that's the deliberate action, motherfucker. So when I tell you that, I ain't even gonna tie into this part, but I'm gonna just bring it a little bit. When I tell you that the mind, like religion has 3 levels: the mythology, the ritual, and allegory. The ritual is supposed to get you to the allegory. The allegory sits in the understanding level of the mind. Because the ritual is what's supposed to get you through the wall of deliberate action so you can understand, so you can gain the experience. But all y'all out here doing is eating crackers and drinking grape juice, talking about and practicing cannibalism, don't even know it. Symbolically eating a motherfucker. How have the people who have never been documented as being cannibals following a religion that tells them to be cannibals? To practice do cannibalistic ritual. That's stupid. And they don't see it. They don't even see it. But like I said, this comes in with tenure and experience. Like I've had conversations with people who would be like, yo, I've been studying the Bible for 10, 20 years. Okay, cool. I studied it for 7 because we experienced it differently. You had tenure with this book. I have experience with it. My experience is automatically going to kill yours because I have the antithesis. I knew how to study antithesis. Then I went through deliberate action. I became intentional. And then I push through that wall of deliberate action. So when I get creative, people be like, yo, now it's advice. We could talk about the good, but we got to talk about the bad too. Creativity can be bad. This is why we also have to understand the masculine and feminine principles. So Frail 1 through 3 is a phenomenal masterpiece if you can actually get through the layers of everything that I'm talking about. This is why you have to understand both the masculine and the feminine, because you have to put a cage around certain shit and you have to unleash certain shit, but you got to know when to do what and when not to do it. Creativity can be a bad thing because it can consume you if you don't know when to stop it. You feel me? You just keep throwing darts and shit, but you don't have the consistency to keep through. So it's like, I know y'all seen my pivots. And a lot of times it's like, yo, seeing you not being consistent. Like I am being consistent because I know the analytics. I don't need a lot of time to figure out if something works or not. I can see its reception. Like instantly. Like the moment, because on the backside of studying analytics and studying marketing and advertising and shit, I reached a fine-tune point where I can look and say, this ain't working right now. Oh, this is working phenomenally. This is working like it's supposed to. Bam, I'm gonna stick with this. If you notice, I don't use the captions anymore. Long form captions don't work no more. I had to accept that. You know what fucked me up with that shit? Y'all motherfuckers are the ones who fucked me up with that shit. You know how you fucked me up with that shit? Because y'all boosting my ego. I'm gonna let it be known. I'm gonna admit my faults in this, and I ate that. Oh, you the caption king. I'm here for the captions. I love the captions. You just then there. It's the caption, the caption, the caption. We in an age where captions don't work no more. Nobody reads the captions anymore. Nobody's slowing down enough to read the captions. They sped the word. That's why you think reels came in. That was my entire theme and why it worked for me, because it was like, damn, I'm a caption king, bro. They gonna stop and read my captions. Not anymore. Now I have to make you stop and watch my reels, but still give you the same shit. So now I got to create a shock treatment. Watch, you're not gonna see what I'm doing right now. You're not gonna see until down the line. It's gonna start to click and motherfuckers gonna start doing it again. It's a shock treatment to see a black man reading a book. So now I put my thoughts, the same thoughts that I was gonna have anyway, Now I put my thoughts up there and I'm still gonna give you the caption. You don't have to read the caption anymore. I just need you to stop and read the thought. You feel me? This marketing strategy is different. You feel me? My marketing strategy is different because it's like I have to cater to the 8-second attention span. So it's gonna be real quick. I'm not gonna do this. I'm not gonna do dances. I'm gonna keep it simple because I'm a simple motherfucker. You feel me? As complex as I am, I learned how to be simplistic. I put link in the bio, let it flash a little bit because I know your attention is going to start to change right after about 3 seconds. Boom. Now I still got you. Oh, link in the bio. Oh, what's in the bio? Is it the book? Is it the merch that he's wearing? Is it this Paula Cafe thing he's talking about? What is it that's in the bio? Is the caption that he's actually reading, is the post that he's actually making that's in that corner, is that something out of the book that's in there? Or is he just, did it really just cut him off and make him think midway from reading? What is going on? I don't give a fuck what's going through your head when you see it, but I know I got you. I've captured your attention again. It's called a pivot. I had a pivot, and I can pivot well because I know, this works, this don't. I can study the analytics and I can feel the gauges of the people. My old people are starting to come back again. And it's like people had gotten so wrapped up in reading the captions that they forgot about me. And I had, like I said, I had internalized it so much that I was like, damn, I had to get to my, like, periodically, I had to show my face and like, yo, y'all know I'm a real human. It's not just a robot behind this motherfucker who's, you know what I mean? It's like, but these are things that I had to adjust to. My creativity had to change. My wall of deliberate action had to literally change. That was the thing about branding that I didn't get. I'm going to be transparent with y'all. I understood the market. I understood the advertising. The branding was what was different. That's why I had to rebrand. Peace, love, knowledge, and freedom became Paula Cafe. I can say peace, love, knowledge, and freedom all day long, but when it's a word and it's shortened now, it hits different. It's like Paula Cafe, Paula Cafe. We know it's peace, love, knowledge, and freedom, but now it's Paula Cafe. It's different. You feel what I'm saying? It's different, and it's a part of the deliberate action. It's a part of the creativity. It's a part of the wisdom of the mind. It's what I had to access and tap into. You feel me? This wall is like, it's there. That's where alchemy. That's once you break through that wall and you get it. Like I said, the infinity, the infinity of where your mind has to go and where your mind can go and where it has been is amazing. It's fucking amazing. It's beautiful because it's like, damn, I can get here. Like, that's the thing about creativity. It's like a lot of people think creativity is always artistic expression. It's always you able to paint pictures and draw and shit. No, that's that level of creativity. You feel me? You have to be able to find the way in which you can be creative. And that comes from only being in that level of the mind. But creativity comes from your experience. When I give jam sessions and shit, like my sister, she pretty much put me back in the space of it because I was gonna leave the shit alone. Like, but it's like, she's like, yo, when you do your jam sessions, you teach people. I was like, cuz, man, it ain't that I'm teaching people. It's just how I like to rap. Like, I like to talk about shit. I like to put shit together. My creative levels they're different. My creativity is like, I'm literally applying my experience. That's all. From everything that I read, everything that I studied, something that I saw, something that I viewed, all of that shit is right there. And this is what I have to get people to see. The levels of the mind are not hard to tap into. You feel me? It's really easy. It's really easy. The problem is you have to be able to get through that wall of cognitive dissonance. Getting through the wall of cognitive dissonance is beautiful because it helps you get through the wall of deliberate action, because you need the antithesis to get through that wall, because you're going to need discipline and consistency intentionally in order to break through this fucking wall of deliberate action. Makes you have to do something over and over again. It's going to get boring. It's going to get repetitive. Motherfuckers want to, I'm not doing it. All right, well, shut the fuck up and get out of my face. Motherfuckers telling me I want to master the market. I want to be on the level you at. Okay, cool. You got to go through this boredom. When you bored, study. When you bored, learn. When you bored, go into the thing and repeat and get in the repetition. That's what nobody want to tell you. They talk about, oh, repetition all the time. Repetition has to be done in boredom. Repetition has to be done through the wall of the, see, I'm getting excited again. The repetition has to be through the wall of deliberate action. That's what's going to chisel you and break you through that wall. I heard this quote one time and it felt so powerful to me because it was like, it said, what did it say? It said, when you're on a quest and you're chopping down the forest, right, and you're looking in front of you, don't forget to look back and see how much you've chopped down. That helps with the wall of deliberate action. Looking back and be like, damn, like sometimes when I was creating the Iwi and I didn't realize that This student that I did a one-on-one with, it had to be like 2019 or 2020, mid 2020 or something like that. My experience with her was so bad that it locked me in to create the EWE, because I said I never want to have that experience with another student again. She wasn't doing what she was supposed to do. You feel me? She wasn't like, but it was like, what things on my end, what expectations on my end did I set that I have to, alleviate and change? And the EWE came, it took me 2 years to actually say, you know what, fuck it, I'm gonna be perfect at this shit. Because it's like, you're not gonna blame me for that. So it's how I chose to apply the experience. Because a part of me was like, yo, fuck y'all. I know how to do this. All y'all can kiss my ass. I want to act like motherfucking goobers and shit because you didn't want to do the work. She didn't want to tell the part that every time I told her that, teach it back to me, that belief came in. And that's when I had to understand the levels of the mind in other people as well. As like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I had to still remember, just because she had done Forex before, she still was at a state of belief. I have to literally, in me, in the way that I teach anything, I realize I have to walk you through each level of the mind. To do that, I have to be beyond those levels of the mind, and I have to know how to get through them, which means I have to come back down to where you are. So I'm like, when I can get the people to the wisdom, it's cool, but I got to get them through the wall of cognitive dissonance first. That's the hard part. That's the hard part, because most people, like, now I have to use sugar. I can't tell people that I teach them Forex, because learning Forex is going to be, that was my leading point. I'm going to teach you how to use Forex to beat the stock markets. Everybody's afraid of Forex. They fear it. They're like, yo, how'd you master the market? Forex. I can't lie to you. That's how I mastered it, by knowing Forex. Forex is the hardest shit in the world. Stocks are the easiest thing in the world. If you learn the hardest shit in the world and you apply it to the easiest shit, you're gonna be a beast, bro. It's not rocket science. But they can't get through that fear of it, which means I can never even teach them the antithesis of buying and selling, which means I can never get them through the wall of cognitive dissonance. Because of that, if I can't get them through the wall of cognitive dissonance, I can't get them to obtain knowledge. They won't even be able to be receptive to the knowledge I'm giving them. And if they're not receptive to the knowledge I'm giving them, then they cannot get through the wall of deliberate action, because they won't do it. They won't show up. That same student, still, she joined the EWE, because all my students who are actually in the course already, I let it go for free. If you get the course, you can get in it for free. If you get the EWE, of course, you got to pay, you know what I mean? But you get the course for free when you're in the EWE. So it's like a break-even type of thing. Either you're going to pay one time or you're going to pay monthly, however you choose to do it. But in that, it's like, she still doesn't show up into the course. I think she's one of the ones that are watching on the replays or whatever the case may be, but it's like, you're still that same person. My frustration came because I did not respect the level of the mind that you were on. But in that same frustration, it granted me the experience that I had to apply, and it created the EWE. To where now I'm bypassing all the other shit. Once you're in the EWE, I'm putting you automatically onto the level of wisdom. A lot of them are moving them already to the level of understanding, but you feel me? I got homies who are like, yo, you don't miss. I do miss. I just don't miss a lot. And not only do I not miss, because of the way that I know what a miss looks like, so I don't take it. That's one of the most gangster shit ever. Like, I know what a miss looks like before the miss happens. You feel me? That's the wisdom. That's the wizardry. People don't look at that. Like, magic is not magic. It's not magic. Is not magical. It's not some mystical thing that just like, oh, you need a wand, you need all of this. No, you need deliberate action. You need experience, and you need to apply that motherfucker. You need to take your imagination when you're bored and do shit. It's fucking simple, y'all. You have your imagination. You're bored. You do something repetitively. This is why children get quiet. When I get real quiet, I'm in my zone. People are like, I haven't heard from you in a long time. I just did a jam session I'm dropping next week. It probably dropped the same time this podcast episode dropped. So if you're hearing this podcast episode, chances are either you've already heard the jam session or you're about to hear it. One of the lines that I say in it, I was like, I said, in my hiatus, no wait, I was like, just one line. I don't remember the whole thing. It was like, so I get perfect Something I get perfect in my hiatus. See, I don't even remember the bar. Something about the light and something about darkness or something, but then it's like I get perfect when I'm something in my hiatus. Whatever it is, I perfect my craft when I'm alone. This is it. That's what it is. So when I hermit, I get perfect in my hiatus. People will be looking at, oh, when you in hermit. When I go in hermit mode, they be thinking something wrong with me. I ain't heard from you in a long time. I only had one person ever, acknowledge it. We don't talk anymore, but she was a good friend. You feel me? But she told me, like, when I disappear from social media, she will always know. She'll be like, what you cooking up? How you know I'm cooking something up? Because when you disappear, you don't just disappear for nothing. You disappear and you come back with something. And it led to that line. When I hermit, I get perfect in my hiatus. Whenever I come back, whenever I come back from something, it's different. This season 8 was the most reflective that I've ever been able to see on that. But it's tying to what we're talking about. I brought back my wisdom, a different level of wisdom. So when I'm in there, I'm perfecting a craft. I'm perfecting something. So when I come back from this shit, it's not like, oh, I just took some time off because I needed a break. I don't need breaks, which is a scary reality. And I don't know if this is for everybody who gets to this level of the mind, but I don't need breaks. I don't need breaks. My burnouts come because I'm denying my creativity. The burnout comes not from, see, and that's where it's like the burnout comes from the insanity. When you have a belief system and you kind of like, I use this perfect example and I'll go ahead and wrap it out here, right? Tying it back into the insanity. I was in an insanity loop when I was running 5 Instagram pages and trying to maintain and put content on all of them and keep them all running. That was insane because I believed I could do it. I ain't gonna hold you. I believed that I could do it. So it was like in that, it was where like I'll sell one course here. And then I'm like, all right, cool. Now, then I move over here. I sell about 3 or 4 books here. It's like, no, bro, this has to be a smooth line. There's no reason why you should be. And that's where the burnout was coming in because of the insanity. I wasn't seeing the antithesis of what the fuck I was doing. Dude, you're really dividing yourself up. See, the antithesis of that part, the wall of cognitive dissonance that I couldn't get through was like I was able to do it. So I wasn't thinking that it wasn't a fruitful reality. Just because things were working, that's when it got to where I was like, yo, I got to drop the prices here. Let me run this sale. Let me run this sale. It's like, no, now you're not being an entrepreneur anymore. You're being a hustler because you're now running through insanity rather than deliberate action. When I came back and I said, let me take this break, I deleted all of those pages. I don't have a master the market page anymore. And my thing was, I built all of these people up and all of these motherfuckers, the bulk of the motherfuckers that was on all of my pages are on my main fucking page right now. I'm not missing nobody. I had to go back and re-nurture them. I had to go back and re-cater to them because I had abandoned them. You feel me? So now I have to rebuild and have to get back into that deliberate action. The deliberate action is intention based off the antithesis of knowing what has to work. I know that my shit was all over the place. It's like based off of having 5 different pages. Like, yo, how do you maintain it? I went back if you just noticed, like my count of my posts have been deleted because I was also going back rereading a lot of that shit. It was like, what made people fuck with me? Because I was literally putting everything out there. So stop trying to divide the shit. Just tell motherfuckers like that's what the bio is for on the Instagram page. Tell a motherfucker what you do. Like, yo, I'm a profane philosopher, pro trader and investor, lyricist, writer, fucking. I've just put everything that I do is like, yo, this is me. It's just saying Paulo Coffee and all of that shit. Is like, so you're gonna get all of that shit up here. It's literally a box of chocolate. You're not gonna know what you're gonna get. And that also translates over to the podcast, which makes it easy to put the podcast back up there because it's like you have everything you need. You just have to have the deliberate action. As people, whether you're an entrepreneur, whether you're just a human trying to figure your purpose out in life, you're not going to get to your real true purpose and you're not going to like your purpose is tied to your soul and your willpower. But to get to your soul, you have to get through your mind. The mind has the 4 levels. If you read So For Real 1, you hear me talk about the mind being the bridge between the body and the soul. So basically the mind, which your thoughts, is the bridge. Your thoughts are the bridge between your will and your action. You have to get your mind right. Getting your mind right is pushing your mind from the level of belief to the level of knowledge, from the level of knowledge to the level of wisdom, from the level of wisdom to the level of understanding. When you can get to that level of understanding, that's when you can connect to your soul and tap into your willpower. You hear all the time the conscious people say, you got to understand, understand, and overstand. Nobody ever broke down the understanding part. In Soulfrail 1, I mentioned understanding, understanding, and understanding. And then I finished it with Soulfrail 3, where I told you how deep it is to just gain understanding. What do you think understanding and overstanding is going to look like? That's where those are willpower. Those are the points of your soul. That is the mark of your soul getting through the tree of life to make things full circle, to come back, to be able to tap into you. But you got to get through the levels of the mind. This third level of the mind, wisdom, is where your magic is going to happen. All of these motherfuckers on social media, you got the whole era now. Women, oh, I'm a witch, I'm a bruja, I'm this, that, and the third, and all this shit. They not doing that shit for real. I know because I understand what it is to be in that level, to be accessed into your wizardry, into your witchcraft, into all of that shit. You have to have experience. You have to be at the third level of the mind. That's where the alchemy is. To be the true alchemist means you have to tap in. When I look at what I do with it, and this is how I want you to demystify. When I look at what I do with the Master in the Market course, and then when I look at the Iwi, I'm using my alchemical powers, the ability to be the alchemist, to turn them into alchemists. When they tell me about their plays and shit and the moves they made, it was like, yo, bro, I was looking at this and it did. That's what I got to get you to. Don't follow me. Don't follow me, youngin. Follow my moves. They ain't youngins, but I'm quoting Jay. I'm teaching them how to follow the moves. And not only that, I'm teaching them how to say, when you see this, now you can think and feel. That's where we're going to get to understanding. When you start to put your feelings and your thoughts together, intuition and intelligence, we're going to get into a deeper aspect. But for now, I just wanted to talk about the third level of the mind, because that's where power is. When you can get that to your third modality, when you get on your third level of your mind to your third modality, you was in a whole different space mentally. That's why when people say, how do you just alchemize shit? Like, I create shit off whim. I have an infinite pool of creativity. People be thinking it's knowledge. I just have an infinite pool of creativity based off the knowledge. I can do whatever I want with the knowledge that I have because I know how to apply my experience, which is the basis of the third level of the mind. And don't forget to check out Palacafe Clothing, formerly Just Scenes merch. Get all of your intricate designs crafted specifically for the melanated being to develop a positive imagery within self and to have a little bit of fun in the process. From the peace, love, knowledge, and freedom to the dead horses and water designs, all of the styles are crafted for the imagery to make you feel as you're supposed to feel. Because as I always say, the best way to fit in is to stand out. And what better way to stand out than with your exclusive styles from Palacafe Clothing. All right. I'm going to go ahead and end it there. Told you, man, the mind is a beautiful thing, man. I love it. I love my mind in particular, but you feel me? I had to get to that point. The self-love, the knowledge of self, and all of that shit. Knowledge of self is really powerful when you actually start to know yourself. So I just gave y'all the gist of it. Like, I use this to apply. I had to first apply this all to me. You feel me? Being an entrepreneur was a no-brainer at some point when I started to really learn myself. It was just like I came from nothing. But then it's like when you realize that you come from nothing, you really realize you come from everything. I always tell a story about how I got my entrepreneurship skills from the drug dealers. These niggas ain't never go to school for business. These niggas ain't never go to school for science, but they knew how to cook crack. They knew how to turn powdered cocaine into crack rock. You feel me? They didn't teach us that. You had to know how to do that shit. You feel what I'm saying? But that shows the power and the dynamic of everything that we're dealing with. We have to stop being afraid of our true power because the biggest thing is our mind. They have programmed our mind to stay at the state of belief because you fear everything. Religion is the reason why. People be thinking I'm against religion because I'm mad at God or Allah, or I just hate the no. I'm mad at religion because it doesn't let you go beyond your first level of your mind. And imagine, motherfuckers, think about some of the shit that people accomplish just with their first level of their mind. Like I said, you transcend time, you break barriers, and you break realities once you cross over to the third level of the mind, which is wisdom. When you start to experience, when you start to tap into your alchemical space, time is irrelevant. You feel me? That's when people, oh, time is an illusion. Show me how time is an illusion. Because if you notice, when I talked about the law of deliberate action, what law did I use? The law of inspired action. Every law of the universe has to go together. So if it has to go together simultaneously. So if at the wall of deliberate action is where we're using the law of inspired action, that means we're using the other 11 laws as well. You don't start using the laws of the universe until your third level of your mind. That's what makes you creativity. That's what makes you creative. They teach you the law of attraction, this, that, and the third. Nah, people are stuck on a state of belief because they don't really use the law of attraction, because you can't use the law of attraction without using the law of inspired action. You can't use inspired action without using the law of the transmutation of energy. All of that is required in your creativity. Your imagination needs to be used for that. You dig what I'm saying? And that's what pushes you into that next phase. These things are not hard to do. These things are not hard to come by. But when you have a believer's mentality, you can't get to them. That's what's scary. That's what bothers me. That's why I'm like, I need y'all. If y'all fucking with me, y'all are ready to be here. Y'all want to be here. Y'all know that there's more to your mind than what you've been holding back. But you can't figure. It's like, yo, you deep down inside, I'm gonna have a transparent moment with you right now. Deep down inside, you know, and you know this, and when you're gonna affirm it within yourself, it's probably gonna make you get the shivers and chill once I say these words. Deep down inside, you know you're holding back. You know that you're not using your maximum potential, but you don't know where that potential is. You know that you're not living to your fullest capacity. You know you're not doing everything, but you can't figure out what the fuck it is. It's because you have not addressed the mind yet. You have not addressed your mind. You are at the state of the belief level of the mind, and it's so expansive because it's still a whole world. The belief level of the mind is still a whole individual level that you have not broken through yet. And you know that there's more. You feel me? You know that there's more, and you can't figure out how to get to that point yet. You're here now. You want to. You've been wanting to. Part of you has been afraid because you feel like I got to let certain shit go. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. Only thing you have to let go is yourself. Only thing you have to let go is the shackle that's holding you. You're not gonna lose friends. You're not gonna lose people. You're going to adjust friendships. You're gonna adjust the reality. Some people cannot be in the space that you're in, and that's fine. But then you're gonna learn how to meet them where they are. The higher levels of the mind show you how to meet people where they are. People be like, yo, saying how you be unbothered, how you just don't care. Like, I care a lot, but I know how to care. Reaching certain levels of the mind shows you how to use your emotions. That wisdom level, this third level of the mind, I didn't even get into the feelings and emotions that you have to use to transmute all of the shit. Your feelings, that's why I was talking about in understanding. We talk about feelings and thoughts. It's going to get deep. But it's like, I understand what level of the mind you're on. I have no reason to dwell on. Like, I know how to meet you. I know how to approach you. I know how to deal with you. And I know how to do it in a way that's because I'm not on the level of belief where I just think I know more than you. I don't have to do it condescendingly. I literally know that I'm not on the same level as anybody. I literally know who's on my level, and I never make a motherfucker feel stupid. I never make a motherfucker feel beneath me. I make a motherfucker feel like they're supposed to be sitting right beside me. You know why? Because I have understanding. Understanding is not as simple or basic as a lot of people trying to see, and we're going to see when we approach this next week. Understanding is what allows me to interact with a lot of people, even though they're not on my level. I don't have to show them that they're not on my level. They know, I know, we know, but I'm going to let you sit where I'm supposed to, I'm going to let you sit with me. It ain't no different. And I never understood why I always had this energy. You feel me? When I was in school, I always sat with the kids who didn't have friends or whatever the case may be, while I was the motherfucker who still had friends that could hang with all of the popular people because I had understanding. I was a chameleon. I could maneuver in any realm because I carried that level of understanding. It's powerful. The mind is powerful. And once you can get to that level of understanding, then you can bridge your soul. A lot of people have not even tapped into their soul yet because they've given it up to something. When you realize your soul is your will, it's like, wow. Some people have a will to live. Some people don't. Some people's will is different. Some people have to experience a certain thing to get their will to show. My will is strong solely because my mind is strong. You feel me? My bridge between my actions and my thoughts is like that wall of deliberate action sets the tone for a lot of shit. Can you be intentional with what you're putting yourself into? Can you actually have antithetical intentions? The moon ain't got shit. You can do the moon work all you want to. I know my oh, I'm gonna do some moon work. I'm gonna set my intention tonight. Nigga, that don't mean shit. I know your intentions ain't true if you don't have deliberate action. There's not a motherfucker alive who cannot say that I have not been consistent and disciplined with everything that I've done. That's deliberate action. I show and prove what I'm telling you. You dig what I mean? I show and prove what I'm telling you. Every night, consistently. 5:30 to 6, I'm going to show you how to break down these motherfucking charts. So whether you want to do Forex, crypto, or stocks, you know how to move in the markets for the next day. You're like, oh, I don't need to be putting my money in today. Or if I'm going to put my money in, I need to put it in a different way so it can go to, I show you all of that because I have gone through the wall of deliberate action. Now I'm putting you, now, not only am I walking people through the wall of deliberate action, and I know it's like, why you keep talking about it, Iwi, shameless plug, whatever. But it's like, that's the level that I'm on with this shit. Even with So Frail, I'm showing you how to get to the depths of masculinity. Who else has done that? Everybody told we divine masculine. Niggas don't want to talk about divine masculine until it's time to show you how to get to the divine masculine. I am there. Like that phrase, oh, I am him. I am really him. I am that. Like I'm up there, like with it. And I show you how to get to it flawlessly. The tree of life, all of the shit. I have motherfuckers like, yo, bro, the way, like there's not a spiritual teacher that I've ever known that has done what you've done. And mind you, I've been doing this since I was 25, 26 years old. It's only getting better. Because this is deliberate action. My experience is getting better. I'm getting wiser, which means I am able to perform more alchemy with my experiences. So when I give you this understanding next week, you'll see the full circle and you'll see why I've always been the way that I am and why I'm just seen, nothing more. No, nothing less, but always more. See, I was about to fuck it up. But anywho, that's all I got for y'all, man. I'm going to leave it there. Go kiss your babies. Make sure they eat their vegetables. And their minds are in your hands. Understand the 4 levels and understand exactly how to use them and start to actually spend the time with developing them fully and consistently, coherently. And you will be in a better position to interact with your children. Children's minds are all open. We always talk about, oh, the children, they always woke, they always this, because their minds aren't closed yet. We look at the spirit, we look at the soul, and we like, yo, the soul is, their will is like, no, their minds are completely open. They're at the level of understanding. That's why they rule. That's why they rule. They have not, we control them and make them behave. We erase their ability to be. So rather than telling, yeah, you could tell the truth, you can be honest. Now, let me show you how to address somebody else because they're not at the level of the mind to be able to take what you're saying. So you have to give it to them the way that they can take it. You feel me? And then leave them in that space where their minds are always open, where they can always continue to lose the creativity. Like I said, people be like, yo, when it's too quiet, you know kids are into some shit. And then when you go, they have completely used all levels of creativity. Now, they have 2 aspects when you ask them, they can feel the energy of what they need to respond. And that's where the belief comes in. If you come in and you mad, what is going on? They're going to fear you. So they're going to lie. But if they have faith, they'll tell you the truth. But if you watch them, you have to listen to it. I seen this phrase that said, if you catch a child doing something dangerous, carefully, leave them alone. They know what they're doing. But as people, especially as Black people, we kill our babies. As soon as we see them doing something dangerous but careful, we get out from there. Stop doing that. Now, granted, certain shit, you feel me? If they putting bobby pins and shit in the power outlets, no, don't go for that. You feel me? Because that's not cool. But you have to put yourself in a position where they have to be able to keep their mind open because they're learning the world. They're already at the level of understanding and they're being creative with it. When they beat the pots and pans and they playing the music, they get real quiet. When they get quiet, they're bored. And when they're bored, they feel that boredom with creativity. Don't let them die. Don't let that creativity die. Don't let them stop. Never let your child use boredom. Never let your child misuse their boredom. I'm going to say that. Never let your kid misuse their boredom. The moment you allow them to misuse their boredom, that's when addiction comes in, and you become addicted to trying to fill your boredom without being able to use your creativity. So I'm gonna leave it right there. Go kiss your babies. Make sure they eat their vegetables, and I'm gonna see y'all all on the next one. Peace, love, knowledge, and freedom. I'm out.